It has always been a dream of mine to drive a concept car every day, but of course, many of those are non-functioning mock-ups. Well, GAC said, hold my beer. This is not beer. Hey guys, Vince here from AutoIndustriya, and first off, I want to thank you all for giving us our silver play button. We are now at 100,000 subscribers. Thank you very much, guys. So that's a testament to the fact that you guys like our reviews. Hopefully we're not screwing it up too much. But nevertheless, we've got another one for you today. This here is the GAC Emkoo. Now, if you went to the Manila International Auto Show about 2 months ago now, chances are you would have seen this car. And you would be forgiven if you thought it was a concept car, but it really isn't. It is a full-on production car, really a compact crossover, and what a compact crossover it is from the design perspective. Because look at the vehicle, look at all the lines, the creases. It's very edgy, it's very, very unique in our market, and we like it that way. The front, well, I don't know. The front really looks like, it reminds me of those Batman and Robin logos from the 90s. Maybe that's not a good reference, those movies didn't do very well, but still, the way the vehicle looks, it's just unique, just fantastic. It breaks away from kind of the monotony we've been seeing from a lot of Chinese automakers. Of course, GAC is Chinese. The G stands for Guangzhou, not G unit, not G pare. It's not that. It's Guangzhou. But still, the way the vehicle looks. Tell me what you think of the way the front end looks, because we've never seen a grille like this here in the Philippine market. It's got slats. It's actually fully functional. So there are actually slats here to allow the radiator to cool, because this is still an ICE car, internal combustion engine car. Has the LED lights, a very unique bumper. By the way, there's already a scuff here. Somebody had a little too much fun with the car, or at least got a little too close, but still doesn't detract away from the look of the vehicle. And this very nice shade of blue. Normally, there isn't much to talk about with the side profiles of many crossovers, but this one, there are. I mean, look at the creases, because you have those lines going up there on the side, which make it look interesting. You have this black trim down there, which, by the way, it has had a few scuffs already, because, well, this was one of the most driven cars. This particular unit was one of the most driven ones at the recent test drive event over there in MOA, so there is some wear and tear and changing from one driver to the other, unfortunately, but still, it still looks very, very fresh. You have these nice wheels. These are 19s, comes with GT tires. It does, if anything, you kind of wish it had bigger wheels to fit the look of the vehicle. Still, it looks pretty good. One of the more interesting things here, though, is that when you unlock it, if you notice, the whole time I was talking, the side mirrors were folded. Well, once you unlock it, they unfold, along with the door handles. These door handles are actually nice and flush with the body, so when you lock it, door handle stuck in there like a lot of luxury vehicles. It really does make it pop quite a bit, especially the way the glass is. By the way, when you look up top, you also see a panoramic glass roof, which is why you have black there, black there. It just looks really cool. Imagine this tinted. But perhaps one of the most interesting things here, the rear quarter panel, because it's pretty big and it looks very edgy and looks very, very nice with this rear spoiler and the roof rails. The back of the Emkoo, well, let me know, because I think it just looks good. I could follow one of these all day and really want to be driving one of these because of the way they designed it with these LEDs that just look pretty cool and has a really nice sequence to it. The design of the rear is actually a bit canted. It's a bit sloped, so it's a bit different compared to a lot of crossovers. If anything, it kind of reminds me of the way Mazda does some of their crossovers with the way they slant this. It's kind of like fastback-ish. The rear end, again, you could put this in, let's say, the 80s RoboCop movies and it would look perfectly at home there. The only thing I really don't like, well, the tailpipes, these are not functional. If you look under there, you'll see a big exhaust unit with the pipes pointed down, so, yeah, I didn't really need that. It does have a nice diffuser. Well, diffuser is not really functional, but it looks really good with the reversing light down there, which is actually really nice. But still, you have this spoiler here, which is kind of split. Again, very cool. Emkoo. That's so campy, whatever. Over here, we have the Emkoo logo with the infinity symbol there, similar to what Geely has on the Cool Rays emblem. It's kind of cool. To open the tailgate, you can press the button here, or you can double-click the tailgate button there. Once that opens up, you've got a space that measures 35 inches long from here to there. The maximum width is 52.5, and the minimum width between the wheel wells is a very respectable 41. In terms of height, what you have is 29 inches from here up to there, but do keep in mind that it's kind of, because of the slant of the tailgate, you will be a little bit restricted here, but still, there's plenty of space inside. Once we open the rear doors, we can fold down the rear seat, and what you get is almost a fold flat. Actually, it's pretty flat. It's a pretty continuous space. The maximum length is 60 inches for supported stuff. It can go a little bit over, but yeah, still a good amount of space inside the Emkoo. There's a tray underneath here for your spare tire. It's a donut spare, and some more storage to keep it away from prying eyes. But overall, it's a pretty spacious cargo area for this kind of vehicle, and really, it's a very stylish vehicle. Now, let's go check out the engine bay. Now, I do like it when car makers cover up the engine bay with plastic or all these panels, just like what Lexus does or even what Geely does, just to make it look neat, make it look clean. But when it comes to discussing the engine bay, I like to be able to see things that, that I want to point out. And in the case of this, there are actually quite a few things. Powering this, of course, take one big guess. It's a car from China. It's really the 1.5 liter, another 1.5 liter engine. Because that's the most advantageous when it comes to the import duty. So when you have a 1.5 liter engine car, I think you only pay like 5% tax. When you go up to anything like 1.6 or above, you end up with 30%. So, go figure. That's what really makes the most sense. Now, 1.5 liter, it makes 177 PS, which is actually quite respectable. And that's because this is a 1.5 liter turbo engine. Now, if you look in the back, you'll see heat shielding. That's because that's where the turbo is. That's where the exhaust manifold is, right there in the back. You have your intake in front. So the engine, the boost goes up top there. Now, see this amplifier looking thing right there on top? It's similar to the one, or the same as the one, in the Empower we reviewed earlier. That is your air-water intercooler or water-air intercooler. Basically, instead of using air, like if you would have an intercooler up in front, using air to cool the boosted air, you have fluid. That's what the green fluid is there. That's basically the coolant for the intercooler, which is, of course, very advantageous when it comes to minimizing turbo lag, improving your throttle response, because the time it takes for the boost to get to the intake is actually very, very short. The distance is very, very short. It reduces your lag, among other things. Now, looking at the engine bay, again, you have your suspension here, the shock towers there. It's connected, integrated into the actual structure of the vehicle very, very nicely. So you have basically like a strut bar there. You have fully independent suspension here. You do not have a torsion beam in the back. So you have McPherson here. You have multi-link in the back. A better setup for road comfort. This one, however, is front-wheel drive only, using a 7-speed wet DCT transmission. There is no all-wheel drive option here in the Philippines, yet. Maybe in the future they will. There's also no hybrid option, because over in China they do have the hybrid of this. They also have the 2-liter, but again, taxes and all that. So the hybrid is something we would also want to see, but for now, this is what we get, and it's got some impressive figures to it. So let's go check out how it drives. But first, interior. The back seat of the Emkoo is actually a really nice place to be in. The seat, it's soft. You've got a nice backrest. It's got perforated leather, this matte leather, not really suede, it's something else. But really, getting seated here, it's nice. You got a nice view of the road ahead, even though this seat is in front, but you can always do that. Or you can just look up and look at this nice panoramic glass roof. But the floor is perhaps the most interesting thing here because it is flat, which is unusual for an internal combustion engine car. There's no transmission tunnel going through there, so you can really move your feet around if you so wish, which also makes me question, is there an all-wheel drive option of this one? Maybe over in China, but not here for now. 2 AC vents there, USB port there, very much appreciated. Pockets here and there. There is no center armrest, which is kind of unusual. I would have wanted that, but it does have ISOFIX anchors for a child seat. But one thing that's really unusual about the Emkoo are the door handles. You see them? None, right? Well, actually, it's right here. It's a toggle thing there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you can sit here, enjoy yourself. You don't have an armrest, but it's all well and good. But yeah, you can chill here and then look up, look at the sky, or in my case, bird poop. Arnel! Sir? The first thing that gets you when you step inside an Emkoo is the interior design. I mean, let me know in the comments what you think of this one, because it does look very, very different, very unique to a lot of its competitors in the market. Now, the dashboard layout, it's very stylish. And when you start touching things, so that sounds wrong. When you start touching things, you'll notice that a lot of the materials here are very, very soft to the touch, even up here. The seats, of course, normal steering wheel. It just feels good to your fingertips. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find something hard. Never mind. Do not talk about that. But really, when you look at it, it looks fantastic. When you start playing around with things, it feels great. Now you look around on the steering wheel. You've got your controls for the adaptive cruise control. Yes, adaptive cruise control on the left, as well as the lane keep functions of this one. You also have your audio controls and Bluetooth controls here, which is nice. On the driver's door, you have your power windows, the normal stuff, and again, the door opening lever toggle thing right up here. Now, it was brought up earlier that it does look good, this door handle thing, but if you're on the passenger side, if you try to brace yourself on this, you might accidentally, you know what I mean? So hopefully that doesn't happen, but that is something worthy to bring up. Now, here in the middle, you have your screen right there. Then you have this pill thing. It looks like a Beats by Dre pill thing. So it looks very unique, very, very cool. AC vents here. One thing I did notice is that, well, for one, it's getting a bit of water because it's really humid outside. But also, it's kind of loose already. I mean, this actual vehicle was the one on display at the Manila International Auto Show. So people would have been, messing around with stuff because it's a pretty unique thing. So keep that in mind. So this one, yes, it's a little bit on the loose side. Same with the AC vents on the side. It's like the torque is not perfect. So maybe that's something they can look into improving. So another thing are the controls for the AC, which is kind of unique because what they did, they have the fan control up here, right, on the grade there, which is different. And then you have your auto button there for the AC. You have your defogger right there. And then you have your temperature control right here. So when you push it up, gets warmer. Push it down, gets cooler. One unique thing is when I turn on the lights, this will go dim in a bit. When I turn on the lights, if we look here, the ambient light, when you turn up the temperature, the color will change. So can you see that? Can you see this? There you go. So up, color will change. And then if you try to make it cooler, it'll go blue, which is kind of unique. It's a unique touch that I think, is kind of unique to GAC. I think the GS8 might also have that feature. It's, it's just different. Something, a parlor trick kind of thing. Now here in the middle, we have a 2-tier center console design. You have a tray underneath, so you can put your stuff there if you want to charge something. There are charging ports there. You have a USB port and a USB-C port, and I think maybe something else. Can't see from here, but you can charge stuff there, no problem. You can put a little bag there, clutch bag, that kind of thing. Pretty useful. Up top, what you have a hazard switch there. So there, and then you have your engine starts up. I'm not gonna press that now. And then you have this thing here, which is It's basically your transmission control. So if you notice, there's no gear stick, there's no selector in the traditional sense. It has your park setting for the transmission right here, and then you have your toggle for the transmission on this kind of diamond. There's like a diamond set inside this thing that looks like a dragon's gate, and I'm not even sure if that's the right word to use for that. So it's very different. So you have reverse, and then you have it's actually pretty intuitive once you get used to it. So keep that in mind. Electronic parking brake here. You have two cup holders here and a little raised pocket, along with a glove compartment here, which is pretty good. But the nice thing here, it has this tray which is like perfect for your phone. So you can put that there, which is cool. But the versions here in the Philippines do not have the wireless charger yet. At least not that I can see anyway. There's no wireless charging going on there. Instead, what I would do is I would run the cable from the data. By the way, the data port is only from the USB port, not the USB-C. So I would plug this in, right? And then I would have car bit link. Let's see, what do I want to do? You can basically mirror your phone up here, and then screen mirroring, and there you go. Well, it won't go into that. So yeah, pretty cool, right? There you go. So let me disconnect that now for the second. Now once we get into this screen, it's actually a very, very nice screen. The resolution is very good, but here you can control a lot of the other functions, which is why there aren't many in terms of those like blank buttons. The placeholders, like the only ones I can see are like these two right here. These are the only two placeholders. I'm not sure what's supposed to be on this. Maybe it's for the hybrid version of this, but still, it doesn't. That's pretty much it for the blank buttons. Everything else you control here. You have the climate features actually under here. So this one does have ventilated seats. So press that, ventilation on. Let me give it a few seconds. Yeah, you feel it. It's really nice on my back. Maybe not right now. So we'll go back to that. And then you have your fan speed and all those climate controls. You can do that here, no problem. It has an air ionizer. Now you also have temperature control there, quick access, so it's no problem. And then you have here, these are the drive modes. So right now we have it in comfort mode. Let's see if we can open it via here, called Shadow Driver. It shows you the different things that it adjusts when it comes to the driving modes. So in comfort mode, you have steering force in light. The Shadow Driver, the actual behavior of the vehicle is adaptive, but you also have economy, so light steering, but the behavior of the throttle, particularly the throttle pedal, with regards to the engine and the transmission, it changes a little bit. It's a bit more held back. Comfort is a bit more relaxed, and then sport, it just lets you have a bit of fun. It's a bit more direct if that's what you really want. So you have the usual device connect, Adigo, smart drive, by the way, all that. You can adjust the sound, which by the way, this one does have a DTS system. If you look at where the speakers would normally be, it's very, very different. I've never seen DTS on a car before, at least not in any of the ones I've driven. But the interesting thing here is the Adigo Active Security Assistance. Basically, it's all the it's the adaptive driver features, the advanced driver assistance and safety features that you have in your vehicle. But of course, the English here is still a bit wonky. There's still a bit of work. It's like someone going through a TOEFL class or a teaching of English as a foreign language class. So when you read some of the things like for collision warning, it's correct, or at least you know what it means. It's just written in a weird way. So like, let's say for collision warning, when driving, if the collision risk is monitored, an early warning will be made. It's kind of odd how that's written. Active braking assistance. When driving, if the collision risk is monitored, the vehicle will be controlled to slow down. So the way it's written, it's kind of odd, but you know what it means, and it's there to work for you. Enough of that. Let's go out and drive so I can talk some more. Well, earlier the skies were pretty clear, but now it's pretty dark out because I think it's about to rain, in a quite heavy manner. I mean, it's already starting to come down now, but what's happening in the auto industry is also like a storm, because a lot of new Chinese brands have really come into the market and are stirring everything up because they're offering more features, better styling, better equipment, better vehicles for far less money compared to the far more established Japanese brands. And that is very interesting to us because it stirs up the pot, it stirs up competition, it makes everyone want to do better. I mean, for many years, the Japanese car companies have been very strong here, and they still are. But the arrival of all these car companies like Geely, we're seeing a lot of them around. I mean, there's a Coolray right over there. Right in front of me is a CS55 we reviewed just a few days ago. And really, they're showing us what can be, what they can actually do, and how much they've improved. Now, in the case of GAC, it's still a fairly new brand in the Philippine market. Actually, a lot of these are. But in the case of GAC, they've been impressing us for the last 4 years, but not in the ways that are most obvious. They're impressing us with the fit and finish, the quality, the reliability. I mean, the reliability of the GACs have actually been pretty good in the last few years. I mean, let me know in the comments below if you have a GAC and it's performed well, or if it didn't, let us know. What GAC has been doing in the last couple of years, and you'll see this when you walk into a showroom now of GAC, is that they've been improving on the things we actually can write home about. Things like the style inside and out, the performance, the safety, all these things, the equipment. We can now write about all of these things because they have all improved. I mean, the style of this, yes, fantastic. The interior, fantastic. The drive is actually what's getting me the most right now, because even though it's not the most comfortable one in the class in terms of the ride comfort, this one is nice and balanced. Right now, EDSA, I try to keep it consistent with the lanes I choose from one car to the other, and hopefully if I can maintain the same speeds. But this one, I can tell it's pretty good. And even when I pass over the humps in my village, it's actually pretty good as well, how the damping of this one actually works. And now here comes the rain. So here comes the rain and a lot of lightning. And actually right now, if you listen, you can hear the droplets on the windshield, on the body of the car. It's actually nice and muted. That's something I've actually noticed about this car, is that the sound deadening of the vehicle is really, really good all around. Like from the tires, there's not much coming in to the cabin when you're doing around 60 on EDSA, which is pretty good when it comes to the tire noise. Also, motorcycles, buses, no problem. It tries to mute it down as much as possible without even having the double panel glass. I mean, this is just a single pane of glass right here. When it comes to sporty driving, well, it's not really going to impress you when it comes to the steering, even when you're in sport mode. It's not really meant for that kind of thing. This really excels in highway cruising, that kind of thing, which is why we're on Skyway. One thing GAC wasn't known for before when they first came in here was engine power. Well, that's all changed because now they've got the 1.5 liter turbos. And when you do put it into, let's say, sport mode, you do get the response that you've always been wanting. So let's try it now. It's quick, but not as quick as some of the other DCTs we've tried in our market. I would still contend that the DCT and the engine combination of Geely is a more potent one when it comes to engine response. But of course, that comes at the cost of fuel economy. Because this one, even though it's got that power, it's got all the stuff that you want, is in terms of city fuel economy, I was easily getting 9.9, average speed of 21. When it comes to slower city speed driving, I was getting around 8.9 from this one, which is actually quite respectable for something of this size. Of course, it changes when you have people in the car. On the highway, easily doing 16.4. Like right now on Skyway 3, just maintain a nice steady speed, so long as you're not really, mashing the throttle, not that you can do it here anyway. You'll be getting really, really good fuel economy numbers. On the NLEX, you should be able to get around 15 kilometers per liter. So long as, again, you're not overtaking too much and having, fun with the speed. Shouldn't do that. The Skyway 3 is actually the best place for you to put the adaptive cruise control to the test, because here you're only maintaining around 60, so let's try it now. It says the cruising target speed is 50 something, so let's try a higher target speed. There we go. Let's try 60. It'll accelerate to that speed, maintain a distance to the vehicle ahead. Right now there's not much. This is the shortest, if you can see it from that camera. I've got it set to the shortest setting, so it'll try to get close but not too close. So this one is actually okay. It's just maintaining the speed. No, I'm not gonna get any speeding tickets on this one. Hopefully it's calibrated. Seems like it anyway. But also, one of the interesting features here, this vehicle can recognize traffic signs. So right now, if it sees 60, it'll say 60 right there. It has that ability with the camera that's right up there. So it just gives you that extra measure of safety, and it'll warn you if you go over it. So I won't go over it lest it, here's another traffic sign, 60. It'll still recognize its status quo, so no problem. Like I said earlier, this one has the feature where it shows you the actual distance to the vehicle ahead in meters. So right now we're 43 meters behind that truck, which is nice. It's always nice to have these features. It just shows you how far you actually are, what kind of distance you're maintaining, so on and so forth. I mean, it's just a little bit more information. Couldn't hurt. Now, when it comes to sporty driving, this may not be the one for you if you're looking for like a sweet handling crossover. For that, you really want to look at, let's say, a Subaru, or maybe even some of the Geelys like the Coolray, which is much smaller than this. But this is not really made for that kind of thing. This is made for highway cruising. Granted, if you do manage your speed around the corners, this will feel really great. And the power of the engine, you'll be able to power yourself out, no problem. But this is meant to be a great everyday car and a great out-of-town car thing. It's something you can enjoy in the city, out of the city. Not really for off-roading. There's no all-wheel drive or even a dirt road. Just keep it under control there, keep the speed under control, and you will be fine. But where do we stand on the GAC Emkoo? Well, let's go back to the warehouse and talk about it. You ever notice that when I review Chinese vehicles, it usually ends with something along the lines of, it's great, but, these caveats, they're always present in a lot of these vehicles. In the case of the Emkoo, I'm actually struggling to think of a caveat because I'm struggling to find the but. That sounds weird, but with the Emkoo, it's well-styled, it's got a great interior, it drives very well, it's pretty efficient, it's pretty quick, and really it does everything that you ask of it, within reason, of course. There are some things we want to change, but very, very minor stuff. A lot of those, when it comes to the plastics in the interior, very minor. Some of the spec changes, we want some things like, the rear armrest, Apple CarPlay, of course, a few other things here and there. But the fundamentals, the way the vehicle looks, drives, everything else is really, really nice. And when it comes to the price, that is where it was impressive. Because originally at MIA's, GAC was saying that they were going to offer this starting at around 1.4 million to around 1.7. Well, they lobbied with GAC in China, the principals over there, to give them a better price for the vehicle, and that's how we ended up with the Emkoo starting at just under 1.3 million, and this one is 1.498 million, which is pretty impressive. At that price, it's going to turn a lot of heads and convince a lot of people. We think this holds a lot of potential for GAC. Of course, some are going to say, hey, Chinese reliability, but in the case of GAC, we're not really seeing that. Because, I mean, even us at the office, we actually have a GAC GA4 for the last 4 or 5 years now. Zero issues. It's still trundling along very nicely. And hopefully, this one will too for you and your family. This is Vince of AutoIndustriya. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our 100,000 subscribers. We really appreciate all the support you've given us throughout the years. See you on the next one.